Mom stood in the doorway of the kitchen, hands busy with nothing, twisting the corner of her dupe, out of the way she always did when she had something heavy to say. The kettle hissed on the stove, spreading steam into the small room, but her voice cut through it. The congressman's wife is hosting a charity gala next week, she said, pretending the sentence was ordinary. Then, more carefully, we've been invited. The words didn't hit immediately. They drifted toward me, settled, and then opened like a wound. The congressman's wife, Lena, my law school roommate, the girl who once braided my hair before interviews because my hands were shaking too much, the friend who stayed up all night sharing noodles, tears, and dreams, the one who promised, under the buzzing ceiling fan, that we would rise together, the same girl who quietly pushed me off the ladder when her climb required my fall. Mom thought I didn't notice her watching me, measuring the silence after the name. She thought I had forgotten. But forgetting requires healing, and betrayal never completely scars over. It just learns to hide. I stared at the pattern on the kitchen tiles, remembering the day my life cracked the prestigious clerkship recommendation that I had earned, the one that would change everything. The folder vanished, the email disappeared. The judge praised Lena's impressive initiative. My rejection arrived like a cold slap. She called it an accident. I called it the moment everything shifted. She moved into power, then into comfort, then into marriage with a congressman who loved the shine of her public image. I rebuilt slowly, without sparkle, without shortcuts, with nights so heavy I could barely breathe. I think we should go, Mom said again, softer this time, unsure, as if touching glass. And for reasons I didn't fully understand yet, the answer rose to my lips before fear could argue with it. Okay, the word surprised us both. It tasted like old dust shaken loose from locked boxes in memory's attic. I hadn't spoken her name aloud in years, but fate had a strange sense of timing. Maybe it wasn't cruelty. Maybe it was a clock finally ringing. I didn't feel rage. I felt something quieter, steadier, a calm I hadn't worn before. Not fire, not thunder, a decision. Sweet revenge doesn't walk in with weapons drawn. It walks in gently, dressed in politeness, hands folded, voice steady. Mom smiled with relief she didn't understand. I poured tea into 2 cups as if nothing had changed. But everything had. The past had sent an invitation, and I had accepted. The gala shimmered like a dream someone else was living. Crystal chandeliers spilled light over polished marble, and every step echoed wealth. Music floated through the hall, gentle and distant, as though even sound had been told to behave perfectly. People moved in elegant currents, laughing softly, wearing smiles that had been practiced far more often than kindness. I wore simple black, not dramatic, not loud, just enough to be present without being noticed. I wasn't here to dazzle. I was here to witness the past standing upright in heels and diamonds. I saw her before she ever turned. Lena stood near the grand staircase, one hand resting lightly on the railing, the other curled around a glass she didn't seem to actually drink from. She glowed in the easy way of someone accustomed to admiration. Her dress matched the room, expensive, shimmering, flawless. A congressman's wife in every polished detail. But beneath that image, I still saw the girl I knew, hair tied up messily with a pen, eyes ringed with exam night exhaustion, laughing too loud at bad jokes just to keep herself awake. I saw the girl who once said, "If one of us wins alone, it won't feel like winning." She turned, our eyes met. For a heartbeat, the years collapsed. Her elegant composure broke just enough for truth to show through shock, then unease, then the quick calculation of someone deciding how much of their past has followed them into the present. "Samira," she breathed when she reached me. "You're here. I didn't know." People say names lightly, but hers landed heavy. "I've been in the city," I replied, working. Her gaze flickered, searching my face for anger, accusation, history. I let her find none. Calm scares people far more than rage, and I was very calm. "You look different," she said, as if she needed to fill the space between us with words before it filled itself with memory. So did she, not just older, constructed. Her husband joined us, greeting me with charismatic ease. Lena introduced me as her old law school roommate, the title shaped carefully, like porcelain, not best friend, not dream sharer, certainly not the girl she stepped on to reach this house. He spoke about her brilliance, her principles, her unstoppable dedication. Every sentence pressed like a weight, but I stayed steady. I didn't correct him. Truth didn't need haste. When he left to greet another guest, Lena leaned closer. "Can we talk?" she whispered, but the whisper trembled. I nodded, not because I owed her anything, but because some doors must be opened to close them completely. As she led me down a quiet corridor, her hand shook just slightly. I wondered if she finally understood something important. The past doesn't stay buried just because the person you buried learned to live without a headstone. The door clicked shut behind us, muffling the music and murmurs of the gala. The room we stepped into was smaller, lined with bookshelves and framed photographs, the kind of space meant for quiet conversations that never make it into speeches. A lamp glowed warmly in the corner, but the light felt like interrogation. For a moment neither of us spoke. Lena stood across from me, arms folded not defensively, just to hold herself together. Her eyes kept finding mine and then fleeing, like she feared what they might recognize there. Years of silence had grown between us like a forest, and now we stood in it without a map. "I owe you an explanation," she finally said. Not apology, explanation. The word fluttered to the floor between us and lay there, small and inadequate. She started talking, and the sentences came out fast, like she had rehearsed them alone in mirrors and dark rooms. Family pressure, expectations, a future she was terrified of losing, the internship she believed was her only chance. How everything spiraled faster than she meant it to, how she never intended to hurt me. People love that word intended, as if pain cares about intentions. I listened not because I needed reasons, but because she needed to pour them out. Her voice trembled sometimes, steadied at others. She painted herself into corners of desperation, made herself smaller, then wider, then fragile again. But there was always one constant truth woven through it all. When the moment came, she chose herself. When she stopped speaking, the silence returned thicker now, heavier. "I lost the clerkship," I said quietly. My voice didn't shake. "I lost the chain of opportunities it opened. I lost my scholarship. I lost the apartment tied to the program. I lost sleep for months. I lost belief in people, in fairness, in myself." Tears slipped down her face, real now, no performance in them, and the worst part wasn't the job. I continued. "Life rebuilds, brick by brick, the debt lessens, the exhaustion fades." I swallowed, feeling the old ache move, not sharpen. "The worst part was realizing you looked at me, at my life, and decided my destruction was acceptable collateral damage." She choked on a sob then, hands covering her mouth. Guilt finally had nowhere left to hide. "What do you want from me?" she whispered, voice raw. Money, a public apology to hate me. There it was, the fear of price. I shook my head slowly. "I want one thing," I said, stepping closer, "not to fix me, not to save you, just to tell the truth out loud, with no excuses wrapped around it." She nodded, shaking, as though bracing herself for impact. "Say it." I whispered, "Give the wound its real name." She closed her eyes. "I betrayed you," she said, each word breaking. "I took what was yours because I was afraid to fail. I knew it could destroy you, and I chose myself anyway." The room exhaled. Something inside me loosened, like a knot untying after years of tightening. "I survived," I said softly, and for the first time since the night everything shattered, the sentence felt not like defiance, but like truth. I left before she could reach for me. Her hand lifted slightly, then fell, as if she had tried to catch something already gone. The door closed softly behind me, and the muted music of the gala flowed back in, wrapping around me like an unfamiliar warmth. I walked through the bright hall with steady steps, each one lighter than the one before it, as though the floor itself had shifted beneath me. Closure doesn't arrive like thunder. It arrives like the end of a long storm you forgot wasn't permanent. People brushed past in silk and perfume, carrying conversations about policies and donations, smiling like nothing in the world could break them. I watched them without envy. I had learned that glitter has a weight, and not everyone wearing it is free. I wasn't angry anymore. That surprised me most. For years, rage had sat inside my chest like a coiled animal, breathing with me, waking with me, sleeping badly with me. Tonight, it had uncurled and wandered off, not because she hurt less, but because the hurt finally had a name. Wounds don't heal by pretending they never existed. They heal when someone stops lying about how deep they were. I reached the entrance. The night outside was cool, the air alive with distant traffic and the whisper of trees moving in the breeze. Mom hurried toward me, worry written all over her face. "Beta, are you okay?" she asked, touching my arm gently. "Yes," I said, and it wasn't brave or forced or polite. It was true. The past had stopped being a shadow that chased me. It had become a story with an ending. Behind me, somewhere in that grand house, Lena was crying not the elegant kind, but the raw kind, the kind that shakes foundations inside a person. I didn't rejoice in it. Revenge isn't delight in someone else's pain. Sweet revenge is far quieter. It is walking away without needing them crushed beneath your heel. It is refusing to carry the guilt they finally recognized as theirs. It is knowing they will live with truth in a way far heavier than silence ever was. I didn't forgive her, not in a dramatic, cinematic way. Forgiveness would imply balance restored, debt erased. What I found was something different and somehow greater. I stopped needing anything from her. No apology, no punishment, no audience, just distance, just peace. As we drove home, city lights slipping by like small constellations, I rested my head against the window and closed my eyes. The future didn't look blazing or triumphant. It looked open, and that, after everything, was enough. Because the sweetest revenge is not destroying the person who betrayed you. It is building a life where their betrayal no longer matters.